It makes me want to get outside at this time every day. I usually go out for early morning walks when I'm at home, but rarely would do it while at university.
There can be something so grounding about heading out first thing, moving your body, feeling the first rays of daylight, and that curious hue that it casts across the world. I love how the flowers are still curled, the petals still sleeping, though the birds are alive and chattering as always. After finishing my breakfast, I headed back from the park and I went to prep to get a coffee and do some morning admin. I did some work on the new academic planner for pumpkin productivity, which, yes, we will be launching in September as always, and I'm really excited to share the new one with you. So I just wrote up some notes for our designer and sent that over. And I'd actually managed to scuff one of my pumpkin productivity notebooks, so I used stickers to decorate the front of it, and oh my goodness, I really love the way that this turned out. Then I did just some more bits for pumpkin productivity. I went through the physical planner and made note of anything that we wanted to change, just added that into the design brief that I've been working on before. And then, of course, I spent the whole morning studying. I worked through completing a rough draft of part 1 of chapter 2 of my dissertation, and I followed this by resolving some comments and adding in some research points.
Alright, I'm gonna go and get some lunch. I meal prepped a salad yesterday. It's a potato, pea and mint salad. It's the one M&S that they discontinued, which made me so sad because it's actually my favourite salad of all time.
So yes, when I say I made lunch, I just mean that I put my meal prep into a bowl, but it was very good, and of course I had this with buttered toast because buttered toast is one of the best foods on the planet. And of course, as always, because I'm studying out of the house and I'm on a public Wi-Fi network, I do switch my VPN address. I use NordVPN and I've got the app on my iPad, which is what you can see here. Whenever you're on a public Wi-Fi network, there is the risk of somebody accessing your personal information because it's easier to hack a public Wi-Fi network. That means that people can access your passwords and they can access your accounts, which honestly is not ideal. It is quite dangerous. So I like to change my VPN address. NordVPN is the fastest VPN server out there, and you have this map where you can just choose your location. I like to change it up. I like to try somewhere new every time, so today I pretended I was in Canada as I did some studying. If you do want to try NordVPN, then I've got a link in the description box where you can get an extra 4 months free on the tier plan, so do give that a click. So after that, I headed to the bus stop and I saw this rather spectacular tight-roping violinist en route. I was not expecting that, and I got the bus to Oxford Brookes, the best seat on the bus as well, mind you. Okay, I'm kind of here for the Oxford Book Fair. Tom Ailing, who you probably follow on Instagram, he's fantastic. He creates all of this bibliophile content, and he is presenting books today, so I'm excited to go see him. Now, I've always loved reading books, but this year I've developed a newfound appreciation for physical books as artistic objects. I love the idea of collecting precious books. I had so much fun just wandering around all of the stalls and seeing so many works of art. And then Tom kindly showed me this incredible book which he is selling in his shop at the moment.
So this is Jones's Secret History of Whitehall from 1697. And this chap who owned it wasn't a great fan of Charles II, James II. So he's written here, from the Rake's restoration of Charles II, his own diatribe against the king to the front page down.
I was out of my greens powder. I used the real one, so I picked one of those up from Holland & Barrett because they were on sale, and then I headed back to my room.
I'm back now. I was out for about 3 hours. It's now 4:30. I've got a YouTube video going up in half an hour and I haven't done the thumbnail for it, so I'm going to quickly make the thumbnail, and then I've just got some admin related things that I need to do for the archive trips I've got coming up next week. I'm visiting 3 archives in the next 10 days, which is actually quite a lot. So I got back from the book fair and I bought one book. So I thought I'd show you this, but also the books that I bought in the last like 2 months. I do buy quite a lot of books. I keep on telling myself that I need to stop, but then there are so many good bookshops in Oxford and I just keep on coming across all of these really great books and then I can't resist. It is a problem. So it's from the shop The Sign of a Good Book Fair. Oh wait, is it? Is that the name of the bookshop or is that the name of the book fair? I don't know, but I got this first edition of the Selected Poems of T.S. Eliot, and it's also comes with this little card which the previous owner wrote with some information about the book, and it says first edition, Eliot's personal selection, first published in Penguin and issued by Faber as a hardback in 1954. And this was only £5 as well, which I thought was really, really good considering that these editions are usually quite expensive and it's a first edition. So then I'm going to go through these quite quickly, I think, because there are quite a few. But I've got Nausea by Sartre. I was book shopping with my friend Lucy and she said that this was her favourite book by Sartre and I haven't read it yet. So I was reading this in Paris and I'm about halfway through at the moment, and I'm looking forward to finishing this. I'm really enjoying it so far. The next one was actually a gift. Blakeney sent this to me as a little surprise in the post last term. It's The Cossacks by Leo Tolstoy. I've really got into Russian literature recently. Then this next one was also kind of a gift, but also kind of not. Basically, it's the centenary of Kafka's death this year, and Oxford has like a thriving research centre for Kafka. Like there's a lot of research around Kafka which happens at Oxford, and so they've launched this project called Oxford Reads Kafka and they've given every single student a copy of the Metamorphosis to read. This is such a cool project and such a cool premise, and I love the idea that everyone in the university has this book, and it's like a special edition printed by the Oxford University Press that isn't going to be sold, so it just feels so special. I've already read the Metamorphosis, but I'm planning on reading it tomorrow from this particular edition. Then I bought this copy of Silas Mariner by George Eliot. It's just a little cute kind of pocket-sized edition. This is really embarrassing, I actually haven't read any George Eliot, and I keep on meaning to. The one I really want to read is Mill on the Floss. It feels like I bought this book ages ago, but I'm still going to show you. This is the John Carey edition of Milton's shorter works. I do have the complete works of John Milton, but this is a good critical edition. There has been an edition of Milton's shorter works published more recently, and at university best practice is always to buy the most recent critical edition, but the notes on Comus, or A Masque Presented at Ludlow Castle, are particularly good in this edition apparently. I only really needed a critical edition to look at Comus, which is why I went for this one. Comus is in my top 5 pieces of literature of all time, so I actually really love the idea of collecting different editions of it. I have this list of books that I want to collect and I was kind of looking out for them vaguely at the book fair today, and one book I really want to collect is the Arthur Rackham illustrated edition of Comus, which is so beautiful. Like the illustrations are gorgeous, but it is quite pricey, so I'm waiting for a special occasion to buy it. Next I bought this, which is Achilles by Elizabeth Cook, and this is a retelling of the story of Achilles. I read the first 2 pages in the shop and it looks very lyrical. Funnily enough, quite similar to the writing style of Madeline Miller, which is quite amusing given that obviously she wrote a retelling of the Song of Achilles too. I got a load of these from my favourite Oxfam in Oxford. I'll put the address of it on the screen. It's so great, and if you're in Oxford, it's one of the bookshops that you really have to visit. So this is an anthology of Irish childhood writing, and I love Irish literature. I love writing about childhood, and I think, quite a big generalisation, but I would say Irish writers are particularly good at writing nostalgia, and so I'm really excited to read this. This is Making Meaning, Printers of the Mind and Other Essays by D.F. Mackenzie. Mackenzie is a bibliographic scholar, a book historian in early modern criticism. I borrowed this book from the library like 3 times since arriving in Oxford, and I just keep on rereading it and rereading sections of it, so I thought I probably should buy my own copy so that I can annotate it. The essay I really love in this is manuscript, speech, print, and I love the way that he theorizes the relationship between manuscripts and print culture. This is a proof copy of The Reappearance of Rachel Price. I cannot wait to read this, and I haven't read it yet, even though I've had this for like 6 weeks now. I'm just so excited to read it that I'm waiting for the best time. Like, I often put off reading the books that I'm most excited to read because there's so much pressure to enjoy it properly. I actually filmed a TikTok about this because I was so excited. This is one of the books on my list of books I want to collect. It's the 1993 Folio Society edition of Dr. Faustus by Christopher Marlowe, and it's just so gorgeous. It's got these beautiful woodcuts, illustrations throughout. Then finally I was gifted this book. This is called Secret Voices, A Year of Women's Diary. It compiles entries from female diarists. You get a diary entry for every day of the year. You get this like historical insight into how a woman like lived that day of her life at some point in history, and you've got, you know, Victorian women, Regency women, you've got Anne Clifford from the early modern period. I read her diaries actually, and was so excited to see her included in this. And honestly, I think this is such an empowering book because it's rewriting this general idea in literature studies broadly that the only important kind of writing is a very traditional printed and circulated writing, when actually that kind of writing is predominantly produced by men. And a lot of the writing by, you know, early modern women, for example, was in the form of manuscripts. It was in diaries and letters, and to overlook that literature and deem it, you know, not serious or not important is like a big faux pas on our part as modern readers. Something like this, where we're championing the diary as a literary form, I think is so cool. Anyway, I'm actually now going to do some writing of my own now that I'm feeling inspired by having gone through all of those books. I want to make one of those very cool, have you seen those walls on Pinterest where people make a post-it outline of their book? And that's what I want to do. I want to go through like the chapters and the scenes, and I want to organise them all out on my wall in post-it notes. So let's go to Ryman's and pick up post-it notes. Okay, here we go, post-it notes.
This is essentially the last thing I did today. I just went through all of the scenes and chapters and I wrote out like the key part of what happens. This was really fun to do, and I love how I can now very easily rearrange the scenes and add things in if I feel like the plot needs it. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you again to NordVPN for sponsoring today's video, and I hope that you have more than just a productive week.